Being able to edit your videos faster is really the holy grail scenario that all us video creators are looking for. We want the editing to take up less time so we can get more content out into the world. Whether that's for a vlog, for a YouTube channel, or for maybe your business, or even actually in Hollywood, the faster you can create, then the faster you can enjoy the rewards. The Speed Editor panel for DaVinci Resolve is a product that's aimed at trying to answer this endless crusade. And today I'm going to let you have my thoughts on its good points, its weak points, and ultimately whether it will make me a speed editor. Welcome to this video. My name is Alex. I'm a certified DaVinci Resolve trainer and I'm passionate about helping content creators, businesses and entrepreneurs edit better and faster by speeding up the learning process through simple yet detailed training. If you like the idea of that, then please be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and to be notified when new videos are released. Incidentally, if you are interested in learning more about our one-to-one or group coaching and other training materials, then there's a link in the description below which will give you some more information about all of that goodness. So you may have seen a fair few videos already about the Speed Editor, and I'm not surprised. It's a really cool piece of kit, and I currently believe that they are still shipping a Speed Editor to you for free if you purchase DaVinci Resolve Studio, or actually vice versa. So a really amazing deal, and I know it's limited. That said, not a lot of people have been able to get their hands on it just yet, and it has been extremely popular, which I think is for good reason. When DaVinci Resolve 17 was announced back in November of 2020 and Grant from Blackmagic Design showed off the Speed Editor during the live stream, I was pretty taken because it really did look like a well thought out piece of kit. I personally really like the cut page for a number of reasons, and we'll do a video on that another time, so let me know if you'd like that below. So naturally I wanted to give it a go, plus they were bundling in a free version of Resolve Studio 2, so it was a complete no-brainer. But what is it like to use though? Well, it really is a straightforward piece of equipment. There are no frills in the box, or manual for that matter, and on the whole, I like how it's been put together. It feels robust, yet still reasonably sized from a weight point of view and also from a portability point of view. And it has been designed with mobile workflows in mind. It connects via Bluetooth, and the process for that is really actually very simple. But for now, let's dive into DaVinci Resolve and show you some of the cool things that this little guy can do. Okay, so here is the Speed Editor panel, and I just wanted to quickly give you a very brief overview of the buttons involved. So they're all grouped into different areas depending on the different tasks that we're going to use. As you can see, the Speed Editor is a reasonable size compared to my hands, and my hands would sit naturally here on the keyboard while I'm working, and I can access all of these buttons on the left and all of the ones on the right, and then the ones in the middle I do have to travel for, but I can move either hand depending on the task that I'm doing. The stop play bar works really nicely and it fits just where my thumb would rest, so again it can be activated really quickly. The block up the top here and the top left are all for different editing operations that you might want to do. So smart insert, append, ripple overwrite, close up, place on top, or source overwrite. Source overwrite is particularly useful when you're in the sync bin. You'll also notice that, and you can probably just about see on the camera there, that sometimes we have additional commands printed on the side of some of these buttons, and when we have that, that generally means that there's an additional function available to us if we press the button slightly differently. So sometimes it's a press and hold, sometimes it's a double or even triple tap, sometimes it's a tap and hold. So I'll show you some of those as we go through. The block here down below the editing operations, you've got in, out, also clear, in and out, trims, rolls, slipping, sliding, and then transition duration, and then some default transitions here, so cut, dissolve, smooth cut. The main block in the middle here is dedicated really towards multicam, and you've got all your options here for 9 different cameras. For me, I'd like to see maybe just a few less camera options in here. Maybe for the most part, I feel that people who are going to use this device are probably not people who would necessarily be doing, 9 cameras in a particular shot or a particular scene. I feel maybe 6 would have probably been enough, and I'd have maybe liked to have seen that so that I could have maybe 3 other function buttons, and there are some functions on here that I feel perhaps are missing or could be improved. So again, it would be nice. And again, I think maybe with firmware they could improve some of the ways that these buttons function, maybe add additional button presses. So again, triple tapping one or tapping and holding one could then give it some new functionality. So I'll be interested to see how that develops over time. But again, as I said, in the middle, we're at the multicam stage. We've got the live overwrite button, which again is really great for using in the sync bin. It also has a random option here as well, which is this button just underneath here. It's a little bit, well, it's a little bit random, frankly, because it literally, by pressing this, it literally allows DaVinci Resolve to choose at random the shot that it's going to put onto the timeline for you, and then for a random amount of length as well. So it's a bit bizarre. Not really sure who's going to get massive use out of that button, but there we are. And then you've got video and audio only edits there as well. So if you want to just edit only video to the timeline or only audio to the timeline, then you can do that there. You've got some sort of miscellaneous function buttons up in the top. So escape, double tap to undo, sync bin, audio level, full view, splitting and moving clips, different types of transitions, snapping and reorganizing your interface, and then the ripple delete. Finally, over here, we've got some really main buttons and main functions that we use here, and we're going to be using these on quite a lot. The source button takes us between the source tape mode and then obviously the timeline to the timeline. So source tape mode and timeline. Then you've got your controls here for transport. So shuttle, jog and scroll. With the scroll mode activated, you can turn the dial and move very large increments through your timeline or your clip. With the jog wheel activated, you can move much smaller, much more granular, slower little refinements. So if you wanted to just move tiny bits at a time, then the jog is a great option for that. The shuttle allows you to move forward at a continuous set speed, and you can then change that speed by turning the dial either to move forward or to move back in the timeline. So there is the speed editor. It's a nice little bit of kit. As I said, plastic, fairly lightweight, but very portable. Simple USB-C port in the back, and you can simply use that to charge as well. When you come into DaVinci Resolve itself, you've got preferences here, and if you come down to the control panels, you can see the speed editor is set up here, and it shows you your current battery level. When you plug in the USB, it doesn't actually tell you it's charging, so you've just got to be mindful that you're going to have to come back and double check that it is charging by making sure that that percentage is climbing. There's no light on the display itself telling you that it's charging either. So it's one of those ones you're just going to have to be a bit mindful of. Make sure that you have got the cable connected, otherwise you could be sitting there thinking it's charging and it's not. And the first thing I really like is how this speed editor gives us access to our footage, and it makes it very easy to quickly review everything we've got to look at. So in this instance, I've got a media pool here with a lot of different bins with different footage in. And what I want to do is I want to look at all of this media, but without having to go into each bin individually, which might obviously be quite time consuming, particularly if you've got a lot of media. So the way the speed editor makes this easy for us is if we press source, it goes straight into our source tape mode, which is also this mode here. And obviously you can access that without the speed editor, but the speed editor just puts it there at our fingertips. And the great thing is, if you see the viewer on the right-hand side, you can see how the little play bar has updated to show me all of the clips in my media pool, and actually the media pool is also updated as well to just filter out everything that I need to see, so just the clips, and it's grouped them in the different bins that they are located in. You can obviously change that by using one of these different sort media by options here. Each of the clips is marked by a little white line, so we can very quickly, using the scroll mode, because remember that is a mode that allows us to move through the footage more rapidly by just turning the wheel. I can very quickly go through and review the footage, finding the clips that I want. Notice that the media pool updates on the left-hand side there to show me which clip I'm looking at as well. That's really very cool indeed, and it's a very nice way of being able to quickly get through and look at all of your different clips. And obviously, because you've got the wheel,
spin the wheel!
It makes it very easy to do as well. And then you can find the clip that you want. You can very easily mark it in and out and then add it down to your timeline. So that's one of the things I really like about the speed editor. Moving on from that last point, we also have the way it enables you to get your footage down onto the timeline, but then keep working without shifting the focus away from the viewer. So in this instance, let's have a look at this. We've got some clips here, and I want to look at this little sequence of shots here and get them down onto the timeline. Obviously, you can see that it's a little bit hard to see all these clips because they're very small and they're quite close together compared to the rest of the content. Now, the speed editor makes that quite nice and easy for you, because what you can also do is press the source tape mode again, and you actually are going to dive into the bin particularly in question. So the clip that I had highlighted, it's now going to show me all the clips from just that bin, which is really very nice as well. So now I can move through, especially if I turn over to jog to just make my controls a little bit more sensitive. I can now very quickly move through and add some clips to the timeline, like so, and then use the smart insert to add. Notice that the focus hasn't shifted away from the viewer. So now if I move the wheel, I'm straight in again, and I can very easily move through, finding the shots that I need. I'm going to put all that shot in for now, maybe to there. I'm going to add that down. This time I'm going to use the append key to do this. Perfect. And again, I can move straight through onto the next shot. And I think what we'll do here is we'll probably have it from here, mark it in, let that come through, maybe mark an out there, and pop that in as well. I'm going to append that to the edit and marking in here, and marking out there. Lovely. I'm going to append that to the edit, and then we're going to have a little shot here, marking in, marking out, and add that to the edit. And you can see how very, very quickly we're moving through this now and getting shots down onto the timeline. Perfect. One of the things you'll also have noticed is if I go to scroll mode, you notice how the waveform on the play bar is really zoomed out. Let me just clear my ins and outs to show you. But you can see here how the waveform is zoomed out. It can sometimes be quite difficult to actually pinpoint exactly the shot that you want, especially if you're cutting to audio. So when you go to the jog mode and you start to turn the wheel, you'll notice that it zooms in on the waveform, which is again a really nice touch because it makes it very, very easy to find out where the audio starts and stops, and then obviously make your cuts accordingly. So that again is a really nice feature. And if you've got a lot of content to get through, you know, you're doing a select reel or you're putting lots of clips down onto the timeline so you can then start filtering and working out where you want things to be in your edit, then you can do that with the speed editor very quickly indeed. Also, if at any point you want to step back to the main source tape, you simply just press the escape key and it takes you back to the main master source tape. Once obviously you've got some stuff down onto your timeline, it's time to start reviewing your edit and seeing what this is all looking like. So by pressing the timeline button, it takes you into the timeline mode, and now obviously you're moving through the timeline. Scrolling in the timeline is really nice with the scroll mode on because you can just quickly zip back and through and get a real feel for how things are looking. Bear in mind all of the smart insert locations that you have here denoted by this little white arrow will also be very important when it comes to your smart insert operation and also your trimming, particularly with the speed editor. And let's look at trimming now, because when you are trimming in the speed editor, again, it makes it super intuitive and very easy to do. If in this case I want to trim an in or an out, then I simply have to hit the trim in and hold it down. Once it's held down, you can see how the trim viewer has turned up, so I can see what I'm trimming in the top right. Also, you can see that the edit point has been selected green, and now I simply have to roll the wheel and I can trim my clip, which is really good. If I ever made a mistake, I can just undo by pressing 2 taps on the escape key, and there we go, that undoes that trim. Some other simple operations that I really like: if you wanted to split a clip, it's very easy just to press the split key to open that clip up. Again, you can also use it again to join that clip if you wanted to. If you want to move a clip in the timeline, let me do this clip here, and I'm just going to change the color to make it really easy to see that we're moving it. So when I press the split key, but I hold it down, you see that the cursor changes on the clip itself, and I can now use the wheel again to move it up and down the timeline and simply change the order of the clip, which is really great. There's some other functionalities around moving clips as well when it comes to the slide key over here. If you double tap and hold, then you can now actually slide the clip up and down, which is a little bit different to moving it because you're actually sort of moving it up and sort of changing the position at which the clip actually appears. But there we go, so that's how you would slide. Again, if you wanted to roll an edit, you can simply hold the roll and then change where the roll is for that particular set of clips. Bearing in mind as well, it's the smart indicator here for the insert point that is going to dictate which edit point you're affecting. So in this case, for example, if I wanted to trim out, then I hit the trim out. The trim in, however, is going to actually affect the nearest trim to the edit point. So just bear that in mind. But again, this speed editor does make trimming very, very easy inside of the cut page, and I certainly have been using it already just to flesh out my main base edits before I then move on to something more complicated in the edit page. A nice little feature that they've added to the speed editor as well is the ability to snap your clips. So for example, if you hit the snap key and turn it off, when I scroll, it just simply scrolls as you'd expect it, no snapping whatsoever. If I press the snap key and turn it on, what actually happens is it doesn't snap hard, but what it does is it just puts a physical sort of stop. And you may have noticed there that as I scroll through there, it just paused momentarily on that edit point. So it sort of sticks, which is really great. And again, a nice feature when it comes to, again, just making sure you're absolutely in the right place and you're butting clips up in the right place. One of the other little nice features that I really like is the full view. If you press the full view, you get a nice quick full view. Again, you can stop and play through your edit, and escape will come out from there. If you, however, double tap the review, what it will do is it will load up your full screen and then give you a quick review of the last little operation that you performed. So that will jump the playhead back just a few seconds and then plays through that next little section for you. A really great way of being able to just check on the edit that you just made. It also makes it very easy for you to add transitions to your clips if you need to. Again, the smart insert point is going to show you exactly where you're going to add that transition, but you've got some basic transitions along the bottom. So for example, to add a dissolve, you simply press the button and it's added a dissolve. Very simply indeed. If you want to change it back to a cut, you can, or even a smooth cut, no problem at all. That's all there. If for whatever reason you wanted to change the transition that was there, you can simply press and hold the transition button and then scroll and get a different transition. So in this case, let's have a heart and then play forward. And there we are, we have a heart, which is really lovely if you wanted to use it. One of the other things that's quite cool is you can change the transition duration by simply holding the transition duration, and then you can use the wheel again to affect the different transition duration that you might want. Once you've got that, if you like that and you'd like to set it as a default, you then press the set key underneath the transition duration 3 times. And now that is the default transition duration. And if I want to add another dissolve there, it adds it, and it's all very easy to do. Equally, one of the things I like about the Speed Editor is how easy they've made it to do very simple operations as well. Rather than having to go to the inspector and change audio levels, you can very easily hold the audio level button and just simply dial up and down. You can see how the waveform's changing as I dial up and down there, which makes it really nice and very quick to do. Equally, if you want to put markers, again, thinking of the Speed Editor and the cut page as very much a rough edit, assembly cut, then it's really great to be able to quickly put markers in. And you can do that just simply by double pressing the mark key. You can see I've left a marker there. If I triple press the mark key, then I get the dialog box up so I can actually start leaving notes about that particular marker. And also, if I press and hold the mark, having double clicked it, what happens is I get a little wheel that pops up,
Spin the wheel!
which then allows me to turn the scroll wheel and get a different color for a different color marker if I need to. So again, really nice little time-saving feature that I love that they've built into this. The wheel itself actually doesn't do anything, and there is a noticeable click. So you are able to click in the wheel, but as far as I'm aware, currently it doesn't actually do anything. I have heard rumors online that by pressing that wheel in, you get a slightly different feeling in the wheel in terms of how it performs within the timeline and how it scrolls, but I honestly haven't noticed any noticeable difference just yet. So who knows, maybe there is something coming on that, or perhaps there's just future functionality built in. I certainly for one would like to see it being able to select a clip if I wanted to. If I wanted to select the clip under there, again, as I said earlier, maybe having one of these buttons, because at the current time there's no way to physically select that clip, or even potentially bring up the inspector, or maybe just have some basic transform operations as well. And the last thing I do really want to show you is the sync bin, because it is really a very cool way of doing multicams inside of the cut page and using the Speed Editor particularly. So what I'm going to do is just going to jump into a folder where I know I have a load of clips that are part of one sequence. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select them all, and I'm going to use this option here to sync the clips. The sync clips dialog pops up, and yes, you can do some manual syncing in here before you hit the sync button, but for the time being, let's just use the audio waveform, hit sync. DaVinci Resolve will go away and sync everything together, and I've now got all my tracks in perfect sync from the audio waveform only. I can of course review that if I want to, and I can look at all my cameras here to make sure, and then I'm going to save the sync. So now I've saved the sync, you notice that we've got little icons here that have popped up to denote that all these clips are now in sync. Incidentally, if you pop to the edit page, what you'll notice is that I also have a multicam that's now been created as part of that syncing process. So you could obviously just start working in the edit page if you wanted to, but where's the fun in that? So jumping back in here to the cut page, here's how the sync bin works. Now that these are synced up, we can press the sync bin button. And in the sync bin, we can now see all these clips and how the viewer has now updated to show us all the cameras, and as they scroll through and they start to come online, you can see them all working perfect sync, which is really, really handy indeed. Now, the great thing about this is what we can now do is start choosing from all of the different shots that we want in our clip and start editing them down to the timeline. So let's choose our starting clip, maybe camera 6. So let's go to camera 6. In fact, let's roll back as far as camera 6 has media, press camera 6, and what you'll see is it's automatically given us our in and out points, and I can just simply edit that down onto the timeline. So in this case, let's pop all of that down onto the timeline. So there's camera 6 laid down, which is really good. At this point, I'm also going to just do something else, because obviously all of this audio is scratch audio. So let me just jump over to the edit page. I actually have some proper audio here, which I'm going to just drag in. This is something you have to do, unfortunately, at this time. Now you've done this, but it's really not a big problem. And the thing I love about DaVinci Resolve is that all of the different rooms are supposed to work together. There's not necessarily a right way or wrong way, or I only do it in this, or I can't do it in that. You must do it in this page. The point is you do it in all the different pages that are available to you. So now we've got this, so I can simply right click, auto align the clips based on waveform, sync these together. Obviously that's a new feature in DaVinci Resolve 17, but away we go. We are ready to go, we are in sync. Now what I'll do is I'll jump back to my cut page. I'm just going to disable my audio on track 1, and now what we can do is as I come back to my edit, I can come back to my sync bin, which I'm already in, and I can start moving through my edit. So let's start moving through. Maybe at this point, just as she approaches, I'm going to cut to a different shot. Camera 4 looks pretty good, so I'm going to press camera 4. You'll notice that it's already marked me in and out, and it's actually given me a duration of 5 seconds. If I want to change that, of course, I can use my trim out and trim in to just adjust that. So I can go back to maybe a 4-second in, and then once I'm ready, I just simply press source overwrite. And now it's down on the timeline in exactly the order it needs to be, which is great. So it's now popped it down in exactly the right place. So you can see as we play through, in fact, if I go to the timeline, it's exactly right. Maybe as she grabs the microphone, we might change to another clip. So let's go back to the sync bin. And actually camera 12 is looking pretty good. Now in this case, I can't press camera 12 on the keyboard, but I am going to be able to get to it by going camera 12. Again, it's given me my default 5 seconds. In this case, I quite like that. So let's go source overwrite. And again, in it drops again. Now, one of the things you'll notice, of course, is as I've added these, I'm adding them in with audio attached. Now, I may not want to do that. So in this case, what I'm going to do is just undo a couple of steps, come back to where I was before. I'm now going to press video only. And now I'm going to choose camera 4 again. And I'm going to edit this down onto the timeline, source overwrite. And you'll notice that there's now no audio waveform associated with the clip, and I'm just cutting on top and using that really good quality audio that I've already attached. But here we go. This is a great way of now adding, very quickly going through your edits, adding shots down onto the timeline, creating a multicam. And there's one more thing I want to show you before we finish, which is live overwrite. So live overwrite works really well because it doesn't mean that you have to actually choose a camera angle and then add it to the timeline. So you press the live overwrite button. Whilst the live overwrite button is enabled, you simply then pick your camera angle. So in this instance, I'm going to pick camera number 7. I'm going to press and hold camera 7, and I'm going to turn my wheel. As I do that, it simply lays it down onto the timeline. So here she's about to chuck her coat, so I'm going to let go, and I'm now going to use camera 3, I think. So I'm going to go to camera 3, press and hold, and I'm going to just add that in as she throws it. As she looks back up, I'm going to come away. I'm going to do camera 5. I'm going to lay that down onto the timeline. There we go, and she comes away. Maybe I'm going to now go to the drummer, and I just have to actually, rather than pressing camera 9, press and hold camera 9, and again lay that down onto the timeline, which is really cool indeed. So there we go. That's a very, very quick way. If I come back to the timeline, look, I've just laid down all those clips really easily, and I've started to create a very fast multicam edit. That is a really great way of using the speed editor and the cut page in DaVinci Resolve to really speed up your workflow. So overall, I really enjoy using the speed editor. I find it very useful in the cut page. I don't use it a dramatic amount in the other pages, I must admit, because it does have limited functionality. However, the scroll wheel still works. Certain operations still work, like ins and outs and trimming. They do still work. They work in a slightly different way, but I will cover that in a much more in-depth video about the speed editor if I get enough people mentioning that they'd like to see something like that. So do let me know in the comments below if that's something you'd like to see. Overall, I do really like the speed editor, and I'm happy that it's been priced the way it is, making it more affordable and attainable for people. And I will certainly be using it on my professional projects and work going forward. But there we go, that's enough from me. What do you guys think of the speed editor? Will you be buying one? Have you got one already, or will you be giving it a miss? If you're already using one, what do you think of it? Please let's get some conversations going in the comments below, as I'd really like to see what you think. If you're still watching this video, then I'd be really grateful if you'd be popping that like button on for me to let me and everybody else in the YouTubes know that this video was enjoyable. And if you're not already subscribed, then hey, you're just a button press away from that too. I'd also love to let you know each time a video is uploaded, so do pop that notification bell on as well. And for now, stay safe everyone, and I will see you in the very next video. Bye for now.